even though the quarterbacks are struggling, there's two big pillars on this offense that have been missing for some time, and some time this season overall, and that is Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert. This offensive running game is obviously completely different without Raheem Mostert.
Mm,
That's been established.
mm-hmm.
And as well as not having Deebo on those end arounds, they tried to run it yesterday, and it was just a complete mess. I don't even know if they got one positive play out of it. It seemed like they lost yards every single time. Who is more valuable on this offense? Is it Deebo Samuel or is it Raheem Mostert?
See, this is a really good question, right? And week to week, I kind of change it, right? So, like right after the Rams game, I was like, "Oh wow, it's Mostert, right? Like, look at how the offense looks without him, right?" And then Mostert
Mm-hmm.
leaves, and then you got Deebo not there, and then it's like the 49ers can't really throw the ball at all, right? So this is a real interesting conversation. I think what I noticed this week was Kyle is running the same plays for Jerick McKinnon that he would run for Raheem Mostert, which are those outside stretch runs. And McKinnon doesn't have the burst or the vision or the one cut, right? That Mostert has,
Right.
right? So, and you're seeing it, right? George Kittle not being there obviously hinders the run blocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we could say that George Kittle wasn't exactly himself even when he was healthy in run blocking, right? Could we say that, like as far as this year, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, but right now, this team averaged 2.4 per carry this week. And it's Mostert breaks those runs the different ways that Jet can't. And so right now what I'm gonna lean is I'm gonna lean Mostert. Because this offense needs the run game, clearly. And when the run game's
Mm-hmm.
not working, the offense isn't working. So we saw without we got Deebo Mostert right in the Rams game for a little while, and we saw what the offense could look like, even with the throw behind the line of scrimmage throws that Kyle is drawing up. So I'm gonna lean Mostert here, but Deebo's very close, man. Like I think it's really, really a point of discussion that how important he is to this offense. And it really makes me want to see Deebo and Ayuk on the field at the same time, because my goodness, they complement each other in a way that I would not want to be a defensive coordinator trying to stop all that.
Right. So, since you made the case for Mostert, I'm not going to want to double dip. I'm going to make
Hmm.
the case for Debo now.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and say Debo because if you put him in motion, that doesn't mean he has to get that fly sweep every single time. Doesn't mean he has to get that little pitch pass every single time. You could just put him in motion to confuse the defense. Um, if you put, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but if you put Tevin Coleman or if you put Jeffrey, I guess that's what people are calling him, Jeffrey Wilson back there, it doesn't necessarily have to be Mostert. It's going to keep the defense honest because now you're confusing their face, and Debo is a threat on that end around. You have to stay honest. So what that's going to do is that's going to hold the linebackers, hold their eyes, and then now you have Tevin Coleman that's already 3 yards downfield every single time. And without having, well, without those two guys, and you play McKinnon there, McKinnon's not really a burst guy. I actually tweeted this yesterday. McKinnon did show me more burst than I saw from all season, but it was a little inconsistent. Um, to me, he's not a true in the tackles running back. So if you put somebody else that's better in between tackles, like a Tevin Coleman or a Jeff Wilson, um, and you just have Debo motioning every time, it's going to keep the defense honest, and they're going to pick up 3 yards every single time. And then when the defense is thinking, okay, well, he's just trying to disguise now, he's faking it. Now he does get the sweep motion. Debo's downfield for 20 yards after breaking 3 tackles. So as well as in the passing game, you're giving him another threat because what we forget is Debo is a true receiver. He's not just some end around
Gadget
Tavon
player.
Austin gadget player. He is a true receiver. We saw it in the preseason where he jumped over the defender's back to catch the ball against the Cowboys. And we saw it against the other Peterson, not Patrick Peterson of the Cardinals, last season where he jumped over his back, bobbled the ball like 20 times, and then still came down with it. It was probably the best catch of the season by any team.
Yeah.
And so he is a true receiver downfield. We've seen it plenty of times. Against the Packers, I'm going to bring out another circumstance where he hit the slant, um, and then he took it to the house on a slant. Like, he is a true receiver. He's not someone that has to get the ball behind the line of scrimmage like a Tavon Austin. He could win downfield as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Deebo because you add someone who wins downfield, you add someone who's going to play brain games with the defense as far as with his jet motion, and that's going to help out the running game. I'm gonna go with Deebo on that. Like I said, I was just making the case. I probably personally would have said Mostert, but now I'm leaning a little more to Deebo since I did make
Yeah.
the case. But one of these two players have to play for the 49ers. When they're both out, it seems like Kyle he still calls a hell of a game, but obviously you're gonna struggle as a play caller if your three best players are missing, and that's Raheem Mostert, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle. Your three best
Right.
playmakers are missing. It's
Right.
so I don't. I think we need to just relax on Kyle a little bit on his play calling, at least from
For
what
sure.
I've seen on the timeline. And as far as that, two questions here about Chauncey